Hey folks, this is Captain Mike here with the first day of my build on the Woodland Mills sawmill that I just purchased. I didn't get it with wheels. I decided to just get me a trailer and put it on my trailer and see how that worked. Not that I'm going to move it around much, but that was just the way I wanted to go. So right now, as you can see, this is just where I'm thinking about putting the rails. I don't know yet. We'll just kind of have to see as the build progresses day by day, and it will be day by day because I'm doing this by myself. Now, this thing came in on a tractor trailer with a lift gate, and we sat it on my equipment trailer, and I unboxed it. And this is what it looks like when you get everything off of it that one person could possibly lift, and it will fall back this way. I'll put some padding right here. That's the way they suggest, and you roll it over on its back, and then you attach some more things, and then you have to pick it up. Now I tell you all that because mine did not come with instructions. I had previously, prior to delivery, asked for some instructions, and I never received word. They didn't tell me anything. So I got online because I was kind of ticked off and was going to give them a piece of my mind when I happened to stumble across the instructions on their website. The least they could have done was told me that there was 94 pages that I had to download and print. Didn't really make me happy, but if the saw works out like it's supposed to, then we will see. Now, that's the carriage, that's the main part, the saw. I'll have to pick it up with my tractor. Let me go over here and show you the other parts that I laid out. Okay, here are all the other parts of the saw, just kind of laid out in random underneath the porch here on this camper. It's on my property, and no particular order. I just laid them all out to keep them out of the weather, but that's what it looks like. You're going to get all these parts, nuts, bolts, and all the other good stuff, and unless I was an isolated case, you're going to download 94 pages of instructions. So that's where we stand right now, and as I assemble this thing in stages, I'll try to film it. This is the second phase, let's say, of this build. Now, let me add right here, right now, that this is not a tutorial on how to put this thing together. This is my journey. That's all it is. And I learned a couple of things that I don't tell you in the instructions. You do read the instructions, right? Nah. Anyway, you'll find them out whether you read the instructions or not. And the first one you're going to find out is that these pieces right here, they lay flat. This is up here for a reason, and I'll show you in a minute why it's laying that way for a reason, but they go down like this, okay? That's the way they lay. Had them all wrong to start with, but that's not a big deal. I discovered that right quickly. Now, the reason I have this one this way is for this plate right here, okay? You can see the plate. I got a little shadow on my camera, but anyway, that plate right there goes on it. Now, what I did here, I happen to have a 20-foot piece of 3-inch tubing that I'm going to use to modify the enclosure I'm going to put over this. So it's straight, and I just turned the thing up so I could put that plate on there. And everything's nice and level, and I'll tighten it all down. Now, when I say tighten things down, be real careful with this stuff, folks. Don't tighten everything down hard at once because you're going to have to adjust some stuff. But then don't do it like me and be a dummy and forget to tighten it all up. My wife's constantly on me about that. I have these cross members. Folks who design this thing call them bunkers. Here in the South, I call them cross members. Call them whatever you want. Give them a pet name if you want to. And they'll go in there and pay attention to where this is. I'm not sure yet, but I think this is the log stop I think it'll have a piece that comes up. The log, I want to roll the logs in from that side. So I'm going to put this thing together reverse of what they're showing me in the instructions. So that's where I stand right now. Here are all your bolts. Get all your nuts and bolts out and get familiar with the sizes. There's 3 sizes of these things. The short ones, a little longer. They tell you about that in the instructions. And I wasn't going to use these things, but I think I will. These are the feet that go on there. And I wasn't going to use them, but I'm probably going to have to. This trailer's pretty level, but there may be some height problems as you start to adjust this thing. We'll see how that goes. I can put they go to on after your bunkers or your cross members go on. So let me go ahead and screw some of this stuff down, and then we'll come back. Real quick side note here, folks. As I begin to put these bunkers or cross members in place, I found out that one of these has 4 holes. It's the one that goes in the middle, right next to that seam there. You don't know that until you try to put one on that simply has 2 holes in it. So that's a side note. Also, you would think that all of this stuff here goes together with these shorter bolts, because they go through in the nylon nylock, or whatever you want to call it, snugs up nice and neat, but it doesn't. You're going to have to use these longer ones, the 35mm long bolts in here, so don't get upset about that. They stick through somewhat, you might see them, but I guess that's just a little overkill on their part. Another thing you're going to need is some metric tools. So if you have some metric tools, good to go. I think the heads on these things are, the bolts, 14mm, and the nuts, nylon nuts, are 15mm. So they're not even the same size. And as usual, these Chinese bolts aren't the greatest quality in the world, so when you start to tighten them, make sure your socket is up against them good, and you're not halfway like we all do sometimes, and because it'll just slip right off. So I just wanted to add that right now, and I'll add little tidbits like that as they arise, and I'm sure they will. Okay, a good tip here when you start assembling your bunkers, cross members, whatever, get you a 1x and stick it under. In this case, I've got it on this square tubing, but if you were laying it on concrete blocks or whatever to level it, whatever your foundation, this gets the nuts that you have to put under here up off where you can get your fingers to them. If it's laying flat, you have a very difficult time doing that. That's just a little tip. Another quick tip that's going to save you a little time, and I think everybody has problems with this. I mentioned it just a little bit earlier that you have different size bolts. You see, the smaller one is 25mm. This is 35mm long. And if you look at the instructions again, there are 16 of these, okay? They go right in here. If you'll count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side, be 8 on that other side. And that's where these go. So if you get carried away and you start down one side using all of these, you're going to be wrong, and you're going to have to take them all back out. I found it out real quick, so I didn't waste a lot of time. But these go in these other bunkers, just like that, and they do fit. You don't have a lot of overrun down here. So that's just a quick tip. Just remember that. Use the 35mm, all 16 of them, in this center bunk or bunker, whatever, and that plate that goes on the bottom for a reinforcing plate, that's where the 16 35mm go. The rest of these 25mm goes to hold the bunkers down and other such stuff. Okay, hope that helps you just a little bit. We'll continue with this project. Well, here's what we got accomplished yesterday. I got the foundation, or the rails, put together a little bit before it got too dark out here, so I decided I'd wait till today to show you what it looks like. No problem. Worked out just fine. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to leave the get out of here so my shadow won't be on everything. Leave the little feet right here. Own it yet or not, I haven't decided. I'm gonna have to do a little math, I guess, and decide whether when I get the saw on the rail, it needs to be lower or higher. If it's higher, I can leave the feet on, pads, whatever you want to call them. Had to figure out how I'm going to fasten it to the wood. If I use the feet, it'd be real difficult to get a drill under there or a screwdriver to fasten it down, but I did figure that out. That's not a big deal. So that's it. That's how that looks. It takes, I would say, approximately one day. If someone by themselves wanted to put this thing together, you could probably do it in a little less time, but it's going to take about 2 days to put this saw together. We'll see how that goes. If I can get off my lazy rear end and get started. That's my problem. I don't get started early enough, but that's what we have right now, and we'll start on the second phase in just a minute. Oh yeah, wait a minute. There was something I meant to show you guys too. I'm going to have to back up on a statement that I made, okay? Went to cover this puppy up yesterday afternoon, and I said, well, I don't want to get any water in stuff if it comes a little shower, and I saw this thing right here. I had noticed it before, and I'd have been all over this carriage, and it says operator's manual inside. So I screwed the top off of it, and sure enough, inside was the operator's manual. Let me show you what all was inside that. Okay. Here's what was inside that little black tube. Remember all my ranting and raving about no instructions? Well, you got the portable sawmill operator's manual, which is actually the 92 pages of instructions that I had to download and print in glorious black and white in color. And you've got this, of course, wonderful catalog so you can say some more stuff. Some gloves, nice little gloves, earplugs, some safety glasses, a key fob with, I guess, what cranks up the saw. So, nice little kit that comes with the saw, and I apologize for ranting and raving and saying things about them not including a operator's manual. However, they didn't call it an instruction or an assembly manual. It just would have been really nice if they'd have sent a little email or a page included visible with the sawmill telling you where to look for all of that. But there it is, okay? So everything is complete on this saw, everything you need. Let's go ahead and start to put the rest of it together. All right, this is the second part of this assembly. It's the log dogs or clamps or whatever part that you'll assemble, and it's no problem. It just takes a couple of bolts and nuts and stick this together, then it goes on the frame. And after that, we're going to have to attack the carriage, but I'll show you what this looks like when I get it together. Here is the hardware that I'm going to put on the carriage, and then I'll stand the carriage back up, and as you can see right there, those are the lift points on that piece. So we're going to kind of take our time and see what we can do here. This is how I laid it down. It wasn't too difficult to do by myself, and I'm not a great big guy, and I'm old, so I'm not as strong as I used to be. But it was manageable, especially when I put these holes in before I laid it down, and then I just used them as leverage, and that's fine. So I'll take all these pieces and carefully put them on the carriage, and then we'll stand it back up. And once we get it stood up, we'll take the tractor and lift it. So let's put it together. Well, this is the third day, and that doesn't mean it takes 3 days to put this thing together. It's just I'm taking my time and thinking about a few of the things that I want to do. But I got this part together yesterday and flipped it up with my tractor, and let me tell you, it's not the most difficult thing I've ever done, but there are lots of parts on it that if you're not careful, you can put them on at least 2 different ways. Ask me how I know. So even if you read the instructions, and I'm not telling you that you should read the instructions, but invariably you will have to refer to them. So anyhow, we got this thing just about together. All that's left is a few cables and to route them through the pulleys and tighten a bunch of bolts, and this will be ready to put on the rails. Speaking of the rails, morning BC, what's up girl? Yeah, you have a good night. All right. So I have decided that I am going to remove all of these pedestals right here and set the rail flat on the ground, or the trailer, and then tighten it down. I'll move the trailer up and down, back and forth to level it whenever I get it where I want it. So anyway, that's where we stand on this. Let me go ahead and remove these little pedestals, or whatever you want to call them, and do a little adjustment on the carriage, and I'll get back to you. Well, here we are. I had to back up just a little bit, as I have had to do many times on this adventure, and put the little pads on the bottom of the rail. And I had to do that because after I took them all off, set this thing down, I found out that there are little bitty nuts and bolts that protrude through. It's because I was too dummy-headed to notice it before I done it. A little more work, a little more effort, but I put them back on, leveled it all up, and I've backed the trailer over here next to my equipment trailer and my tractor, and I have all of this saw together. And it also was a matter of oops, sorry, like the tripped and fell. It was a matter of trial and error. As I think I mentioned before, if it could go on backwards or 2 different ways, I did it both ways. But I got it all assembled, and it is hooked to my tractor, as you can see. And as soon as I get some help to steady the saw as I pick it up, we will place it on the trailer. So that's where I stand right now. Well, good morning, sawyers, wannabe sawyers, followers of my videos, and other gluttons for punishment. I have succeeded this morning in just a few minutes of setting the carriage on my can't even talk this morning, on the foundation, the rails for my saw. It really wasn't a big problem. I did it with my tractor. I was very careful. There was enough distance between the bucket and the front of my tractor, so what little swing I developed as I moved did not bump anything. So I lined it all up, set it right down on the rails. The wheels went in just fine, and I'm a happy camper. All of this, as I have said previously, has nothing to do with an instructional video for this saw. But actually, it was to prove one man and or woman, one determined individual, can assemble this saw, and if they have a tractor or a similar piece of equipment, they can do it all by themselves. I did not need any help whatsoever. So I'm really happy with it. I've got it strapped down so that it won't roll by itself on these rails. That's for those of you who are wondering what the orange strap is for, because my trailer is a little bit downhill. So I'll move this thing now and set it aside. Double check all my bolts, nuts, alignments, and everything that one should check before one fires up anything. And we'll conclude this video. I just kind of wanted to share my journey with you. Some of you may care, some of you may not. But I have enjoyed it. I can say that if you had all day to work on it and you were younger than I am and didn't wear out and get tired, you could do this in about 2 days. So there you go. I will move all my stuff, set this saw aside, and we will conclude this video when I come back. Okay, here we are. The trailer has been moved into pretty much where it will be when the building is put over the top of it, and it's ready to go. I have not cranked it up yet. I'll spend another day just checking hoses, lines, throttle cables, and double checking all my nuts and bolts and leveling stuff up. It's just stuff that you have to do. But in conclusion, just let me state that this is a one-person job. If you want it to be, it would be much more fun, and you would make fewer mistakes if you had someone to help you and to double check behind you, such as a wife that kinda sorta catches the stuff that obviously needs to be fixed and you don't see it. But anyway, enough said about that. You can do it by yourself if you have a tractor or a front end loader or something that you can pick the saw up with. Now, I will just say this about the Woodland Mills machine. And oh, by the way, they have an excellent video on this, and I will post the link below, and it details everything about this machine. I'm not pushing these machines. They give me no break on it. Just bought it. But there are a lot of good machines out there. Find the one that suits you by all means and purchase it if you're looking for a sawmill. This one is well built. It went together easily. I only had one hole I had to drill flash out of to get a bolt to go through. Everything else was perfect. And so that's all I've got to say about that. Now, one thing I will add is that if you want a portable operation, and you're going to get a Woodland Mills, because I can't say for anybody else because I didn't really get on their websites, go ahead and buy their trailer kit that comes with this for a couple of good reasons. The trailer kit will be just as well made as this saw, and it will come to you shipped at the same time, and there's a flat rate shipping on this thing. So if you order it all at the same time, I'm assuming that the trailer is included in the shipment for $300 or so. I don't know. Get on their line and on their website to see. But get their trailer. I built all this for myself. I regret it. I'm going to have 2/3 of the money in it. You may have a trailer. If you have a trailer, then that's fine. You can come out okay. But this one has got a very lightweight axle under it, and it's bent. I'm going to have to replace the axle. I'm going to have to replace the extend this right here, the tongue. And there's just a lot of little things that if you don't already have a trailer that is suitable, just go ahead and spend $1,400 and get the trailer, and then you can haul it around. If you don't need the trailer, set it on some 6x6s that are about 20 feet long or 12 feet long or whatever the heck you've got. Level them up and just rock and roll. So that is, that's it on my Woodland Mills. Hi, it's Captain Mike here. And I really appreciate all of my subscribers, and especially those of you that had the perseverance to stick with me through this little adventure. I've always wanted a sawmill. I now have one. Got a lot of logs to saw up around here, and I will make another video on how well this saw does. My assistant here is not going to be of a lot of help, but she gives me a lot of moral support. So I do thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions about this sawmill or sawmills in general, as I progress through this thing and learn through my mistakes what to do, I'll be more than glad to share it with you. So with that, Roxy and I say have a good day, and we will see you in the next video.